Isn't it great when you as a person receive definitive confirmation that you are not imagining things? Essentially, that you are indeed not crazy. What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and welcome back to another Outriders update. And I think if we were to characterize the health of this game since last Friday's patch as shaky, we would probably be accused of using far too conservative rhetoric, as things have gone from manageable to manic in the course of 4 or 5 days. But before we dive into the latest from the PCF team and the game in general, in case you aren't yet a sub, please smash that sub button for more intensive Outriders content, and don't forget to ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my channel. We've got a lot to cover, so let's get this one going. So if you actively play this game or are anywhere around social media, you know that Outriders got mega patched last Friday and tended to fix a ton of bugs, which it did, but with that patch, it also created a whole host of new issues for players to endure. Now, for many players that started logging in just after that patch went live, they immediately noticed that the game dynamics had changed severely, which the official Outriders Twitter account sort of acknowledged with this post. We're aware of some issues regarding armor and survivability as of this patch. These will be rectified with an imminent maintenance. Please sit tight. And this kind of set off this firestorm of confirmation bias and theories as to what happened, but as we know, the issues arose once the PCF team attempted to fix the broken emergency stance mod, which was perma-procking and giving players an unintended amount of damage mitigation and status effect resistance. And what was really contributing to these heated discussions is how some players were really affected by the changes, while others were not. And it started this back and forth about how the game was unplayable for some players, while others were responding back that the players that were affected were not good at the game and needed to learn how to play. And it took a community that was already weary from the launch day issues that had plagued this game, and it poured an entire bag of salt into that already open wound. Now, what made this update even more difficult for the player base to come to grips with is the fact that it was released on a Friday, so the whole team at PCF was radio silent for the weekend. And I just wanted to acknowledge that they are human too, and I know they deserve their time off, but the release of this patch and the dramatic effects it unleashed on the game could not have come at a worse time, as once it did, players were left to fend for themselves for this past weekend and into the early part of this week with little to no contact from PCF on any of the social media platforms until late yesterday when the devs released this statement. We are aware of the issue whereby damage mitigation isn't acting as expected for some players, resulting in those players dying very quickly, or in some cases instantly when hit by an attack. We have set up a gather thread for this issue here. And they've included this link to jump over to the Reddit post where they give a much more detailed explanation. I'm just going to skip the first few sentences because they're a repeat of their tweet, but they continue on. Issues with mod cooldowns or mods not proccing may be related to this. Thank you to everyone who has so far reported these issues, and thank you also to everyone who has shared their findings around it in those threads. We are reading all these threads and have been using your detailed findings to help our own investigation and work towards reproducing this issue consistently. And what I believe is at the heart of the player base's gripes with the game is that going into last Friday's patch, for a lot of those players, their builds were in a good state. They were hitting that in-game content. They were soloing up to and including CT15 content, albeit using a broken emergency stance mod, but still, and I think this needs to be acknowledged, is the fact that despite all the issues with mods prior to that patch, the game was still fun to play. I personally have not seen anyone taking to social media complaining that their character and builds were too OP and that the game needed another balance pass or that certain mods needed to be removed from the game. But then, out of the blue, Friday's patch hits, and players go from really enjoying the game to utter frustration as they are now being one-shotted, or even more frustrating, being insta-killed out of nowhere, like they just die with no indications from where. A fact that PCF has finally acknowledged this as I continue through their Reddit statement. Our latest patch did not intentionally change any formulas which would have directly caused this. We did not make armor weaker or enemies stronger. If we did, every single player would be feeling the effects of that. Rather, it looks like there is a bug which may temporarily strip away a mechanic such as armor mitigation, for example, for some players under certain conditions. Here's what we know so far. We've been tracking a similar issue with damage mitigation since before our last patch released. As we were unable to find a consistent reproduction of it at the time, it was not addressed in the latest patch, and our investigation is ongoing. This thread will help us further identify the cause. What makes our investigation a little harder is that because previously bugged mods, such as Emergency Stance and Perseverance, were fixed as part of the patch, the difficulty of the game for users who were relying on such mods has increased. Additionally, it's possible that the bug status of these mods previously obscured this mitigation issue, which is why it may appear more prevalent now. We need to separate our genuine bugs with damage mitigation from reports that the game has become harder overall due to the mod fixes. Such feedback is still useful, but is not relevant to this particular investigation. The issue at hand appears to be quite random in nature, affecting random players at seemingly random times. This by no means insinuates that the damage mitigation issue does not exist. We fully acknowledge that there is an issue with damage mitigation for some players at this point in time. So a lot going on in this statement, the admission of issues from PCF, and I know for a lot of players, if you were reading this the same way I am, although that statement does prove enlightening, it gives us a deeper look into what is actually going on with this game, and the fact that those of you that are still being one-shotted, you finally received confirmation that you aren't crazy. But on the flip side, it shows that the damage mitigation issues have been there since day one. And it was the broken Emergency Stance mod that was actually keeping us alive the entire time. Now that PCF has gone back and fixed those broken mods, the real issues with damage mitigation, mods not proccing or functioning properly when it comes to armor, are now fully exposed. And the scariest part about all of this is it reads that they aren't able to reliably duplicate this bug. Now, I've continued to play Outriders since last Friday's patch, and I've made the necessary adjustments to my builds, namely replacing Emergency Stance with mods like Mitigation from Death, and I can confirm that one-shot kills and phantom deaths are occurring. But what makes it even more frustrating as someone that really enjoys playing this game is the fact that I have no indication of when or where these one-shots are going to occur from. I mean, I can't plan for it. Like if it was a Brood Mother specific bug and it had to do with her swipes or one of the other attacks, we could plan for those and take cover when they were about to occur. But for many players, and the dev statement on Reddit now confirms this, these one-shot mechanics occur randomly with no rhyme or reason. And this is really punishing to the player base and driving players away from a game that at its core I find really interesting but has been plagued by incredibly large issues since the demo. Jumping back over to this Reddit article, and they continue on with a statement about how the dev team could really use our help to sort this issue out. They include a full questionnaire, and for those of you that want to fill it out, I will leave a link to this post in the video description. I encourage you all to go over there, fill it out, be specific, and let's contribute to the possible fix for this bug. Now, I know that there are different teams at the studio working on different facets of the game, but it seems that the priorities of the studio and those of the people that have purchased and played this game could not be more polar opposite. On one side, you've got PCF, working to fix small bugs, graphical issues, mods not functioning as designed, and other items, while you've got the millions of players worldwide who still can't get past the darn sign-in screens, still have no resolution to inventory wipes, they have connectivity issues that lead to laggy multiplayer experiences, and now this, a bug that can't be nailed down that can cause you to randomly die at any time and from anywhere. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, and maybe you can leave me a comment if I am, but I would think that priority number one, like when the studio all gets together for the Monday morning meeting and lays out all the priorities for the game on the giant whiteboard, it would be to get the game completely functional for all players and platforms, allowing them to sign in, and after that, it would be to restore the wiped accounts. And those should be the only two priorities on that board until they are absolutely resolved. And then they should move on to fixing Emergency Stance, certain graphical issues, and textures not looking correct. why a strictly PvE game has gone through 2 major balance passes in the first month of existence, both of which have reduced the power levels of players' builds, has really set the community's teeth on edge, especially when they can't even sign in. I think this tweet by Matt Goes Buck really sums it all up when he responded back to the Outriders post confirming issues with damage mitigation, and here's what he said. Real talk. Quit nerfing and balancing our builds and learn to stabilize your game first. I want to love this because the base game, building, and crafting is amazing, but you can hardly play this shit and keep making us, the players, weaker. I'm going to go ahead and end this one right here. Before I go, I would like to remind you that there is an open Discord invite in the video description below. If you just need help with challenge tier carries, or maybe you just want to be able to squad up with other Outriders, all you need to do is join my community Discord server, accept the rules, and you are in. There are plenty of other players there that can help you out with carries or just general Outriders knowledge, and while you are there, make sure to take advantage of those free chat rooms where you can go on mic and coordinate your strategies as you take on your favorite Outriders content. Just in case you haven't yet done so, please smash that sub button for more intensive Outriders content, and make sure to ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my channel. If you could like and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to find me over on Twitch, join my aforementioned Discord server, and of course follow me on Twitter, posting on most things gaming related. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.